guys, it's Kaz here, and today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in July. But first off, here's my frog, because you can't see him and you need to see him. But anyway, let's just talk about some books. The first book I read in July was Quiet Storm by Kimberly Whittam. This is a middle grade and it's about a girl who is quiet, and her name is Storm. So yeah, Storm in this book is very quiet. She shows a lot of anxiety. At school she doesn't like to be told to read out loud or ask the answer for anything. She's just like, can't handle it. We've all been there. Well, a lot of us have anyway. I was also am a shy person. But yeah, and throughout this book she learns to be a little bit more outgoing, but not a lot. It's not saying like you have to change your personality. It's saying introverts exist, but also that doesn't mean that they should be walked all over, because in here there are some things that are going on. There's like a friend who's got a new friend, and that new friend is just very mean to her because she's an easy target. But also on the flip side of that, she realises she's really good at running, and then through that she gains a bit more confidence and meets new people as well. After that I read Scarlett by Marissa Meyer. This is the second book in the Lunar Chronicles, and I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one, and mainly that is because I really did not like the insta love in this book. This book is an old book, so I feel like I'm allowed to say that. It's also a YA sci-fi, so like, you know there's going to be a romance in it. It's just apparently necessary. But it was really irritating to the point where these characters know each other for like 2 days throughout the whole book. And half of their first day, one of them has the other one like at gunpoint, not trusting them, you're dodgy. And then between like 2 pages of the same chapter, the guy says, oh, all this stuff that's bad, and yes, you shouldn't trust me because here's some stuff. And then she's like angry at him, and then the next page they're kissing, and it's really annoying. So yeah, other than that, I enjoyed it. We meet new characters in here. Obviously Scarlett is the main character in here, but it also still has Cinder's storyline going through, and the whole lunar peeps wanting to fight the earth and take over and all that jazz. But yeah, I did enjoy it. Hopefully there's less, I want to say less love, but there won't be less because it's a YA, but hopefully it'll be less insta-lovey, because I did enjoy like the romance build up in the first book. I was fine with that, but this one, it just felt so unnecessary and so insta-lovey, and so stop making this a thing when you're trying to find your gran who's been missing for several weeks and might be dead, and torture involved. You know what I mean? Like, calm the fuck down. But yeah, hopefully the third book there'll be less of that, and if there is, there definitely will be. Hopefully like the love story bit of it will be handled in a better way. I feel like it's fair that these two got together if it was in like the next book or a book later. Like, give me some build up, bro. They've known each other for 30 seconds, you know what I mean? But yeah, I did enjoy it. Even though I'm saying all that, I did like the book, and I want to carry on the series, so boom. After that I read Finn Jones Was Here by Simon James Green, and I absolutely adored this book. It made me laugh, it made me cry. 5 stars, which is not something I say lightly, as you all know. Absolutely adored this. So this is a middle grade, and it's about Eric, who right at the beginning of the book, he's going to the funeral of his best friend Finn, and is getting these notes, these letters, these challenges, these things he has to do from Finn. So in his mind he's like, oh, this is one of your big pranks, isn't it, Finn? You're gonna make me go through all this stuff, and at the end you're gonna be jump out and say, haha, surprised. And like, it's just that sort of vibe all the way through. So he's sat at the funeral not crying. He's like, why are Finn's parents so sad? Why are his sisters? Oh, he must not have told them. He's very much a joker. Like, and it's about being a child and going through grief, but also fun stuff because he's doing all of these little challenges, going outside of his box, doing these really silly things. Other people are looking at him like, what is going on with you? Your best friend's just died, and why are you doing these weird things? But it was written so well. It was amazing. It was perfect. I loved it. I cried. It was so good. I love Simon James Green, and that is not a new thing on this channel, but absolutely adored. After that I read Ring Shout by P. Jelly Clark, and this one was very different for me. I don't read very much like hard sci-fi. Like obviously, like I read Scarlett earlier, but that's not hard sci-fi, that's like YA, just frilly badilly. But in here, it's set in the, I can't remember, like the 30s, the 20s. It's set in the past. I need to look because this is going to be annoying if I can't remember. 1922. So it's 1922 and the clan is about, but a twist on the clan, they're actually these monster creature things. So there's Ku Kluxes and there's clan, and they're two different things. Like one of them is people that have been taken over, but also not, because like it's really easy to take them over because they're already racist and it just makes them more racist. And then the other ones are like actual monsters that are like actual monsters. And then it follows this ragtag group who are like trying to get rid of them and kill them and all that jazz. So yeah, it was really interesting, really different. I enjoyed it. It was really short as well, but it felt like the story was enough. It didn't feel like it was lacking, because sometimes when I read short stuff I'm like, I need more. I felt like it was really well paced. Maybe could have done with like a little bit more feeling for the characters, but trying to get this whole like world in this book, it was hard, but it was handled very well. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was weird, it was very different for me, but I liked it and I enjoyed it. And weird ass creatures, and like there's some really weird stuff that happens in this book. So if you like weird things, I know I keep saying weird, but like read the book and then you will see the weird things that are happening. And then obviously it's also about racism, and it's about this film, I can't remember the title of it, but it's like a real film, this America film that was like really racist and came out. And yeah, The Birth of a Nation is a film, a real film that came out about the KKK and like thinking they're better than black people. And I even read up on the film because I wasn't 100% sure if the film was real, because this is obviously like sci-fi, it's fiction, but it's a real film. And like they even got people, white people, to black up to be the characters of the black people, and then like it was really, really racist. And yeah, that film is like the catalyst of stuff that happens in here. So yeah, really weird, really cool. There's some like horror-y stuff that's weird. As I have said, read it and then you'll know. Mouths and things. I mean, look at these eyes that are mouths, and then that gives you a little bit of what's going on. But yes, I enjoyed it. So we're about halfway through, so let's head on over to a message from one of the sponsors, and then I will be back with the rest of the books. You know the drill. After that I read 2 volumes of Deadpool, so I read volume 6, I Will You Suck, and volume 7, Space Odyssey. So this one I really enjoyed, it actually made me laugh. So in I Will You Suck, it's about vampires, and he just calls them Draculas, and it just made me laugh. It's like, oh, look at all these Draculas everywhere, and they keep saying, we're not Draculas. They're like, yeah, you are, you're Draculas. And it just was funny, and I very much enjoyed it. And in the second one, which is Space Odyssey, it's set in space, so it's trying to do the stuff in space on a spaceship and trying to like stop this planet that wants to devour other planets. And I enjoyed this as well, but I liked this a bit more just because it made me laugh more because of the Draculas. So yeah. And here's the artwork, which I like to show when I'm doing some comic-y type things. There you go. Is there any Draculas on that page? I don't know, I can't tell from here. After that I read Devil's Knot by Mara Leverett. This is about the West Memphis 3. So basically this is a true crime story, and these 3 young boys, I think they were all 8 years old, so very young boys, were murdered, mutilated, and basically the police pretty much just decided straight away. It's related to the cult. This was in the sort of the epicenter of everyone thinking cults were a big thing, like the 80s and 90s, all over America. They just thought cults were a thing, to the point where the FBI did like, had a look into it, and they were like, actually, like, Satanism and cult things don't actually happen that often, like, you just think it does. So yeah, big into that. So they were like, Satanists definitely killed these boys. oh look, here are some boys, older boys, but still boys because they were teenagers, that like metal music and wear black. They must have been the ones to do it. So that's pretty much what happened. These 3 teenagers got done with practically no evidence. Some of them even had like very, very strong, definite alibis, and they went to prison. One of them got the death sentence, but because of some documentaries that were made, a lot of people learnt about the case, and it got a lot of media attention, and a lot of people were like, why are these guys in prison? Because they clearly didn't do it, or even if you want to be skeptical, they definitely did not have a trial that was correct. And eventually, like, this book only goes over it a tiny bit briefly at the end. There's like a little afterward because the book came out, and then after the book came out they got released. So there's like 2 pages at the end of this about, oh, they did get released. But that was still quite a while ago, and they're still trying to prove their innocence, because basically what happened was, it was one of those things where you get released but you have to say you did do it. There's no evidence, there's not enough evidence, but you did do it, but you didn't do it. But we're going to say that you have to say you did do it, so we don't have to give you any compensation. Pretty much is what happened. And like still to this day they're trying to get their names off of this case, and also find out who actually did the killings, because there's somebody or somebodies out there that killed 3 8-year-olds that got away with it. So yeah, it's very that. There's a lot about the case, there's a lot about the backgrounds of them, of the families of the murdered and the families of the accused and the accused, and all the police officers, and like all these different things that happened. There's a lot of information in here. And yeah, it was really interesting. I definitely want to watch the documentaries. I have heard of them, but I wanted to read the book before I watched them. So now I have read this. There's 3 documentaries. One came out, it was like filmed at the time of the trial and stuff, and then got people interested in it. The second one was more like, maybe this guy did it, I think. And then I think there's a third one that's like maybe after they got released and like doing that sort of stuff. So yeah, definitely want to watch them. And to this day, like a few months ago, they were still trying to get some evidence. So there's a knife that was found in this case that had blood on it, but back then you couldn't tell if it was definitely someone's blood. You can only tell it was like, oh, this person has A positive, it's an A positive sort of blood. And they're trying to get the blood retested, and the courts are like, no, we won't let you, which is so fucking stupid. And also proves that they're definitely innocent, because why would you want to get something tested to prove your innocence if you were innocent and now you're out of jail, not on death row? You know what I mean? So yeah, they're still trying to get the evidence, find the people that actually did it, clear their name, all that jazz. Very interesting. Oh, and as you can tell, there's also a film called Devil's Knot. That's why it's got this terrible film tie-in cover. So next up, I read All About Romance by Daniel Tors, and it's kind of cool. I didn't even notice this until I checked on Twitter, but it's called All About Roman. The main character calls Roman, and Roman Cutter. So yes, this is about a non-binary teen who's also queer, and they're at school, and then somebody is putting up these artworks that relate to their life, and they get these notes through their locker at school. They're saying like, oh, go and look at the wall near the art block, and then they go to the wall, and then there's this big massive picture that has stuff to do with their life, or they perceive it to have stuff to do with stuff that's happened. And then yeah, they're trying to figure out what's going on. Who is it? Is it the boy that they used to have a thing with, but then also bad stuff happened when it came out that they had a thing with him because he just lied about it? There is a lot of bad stuff that happens in here, so if you don't want to read about like homophobia, transphobia sort of business in here, there's a lot of dead naming in here by the teachers because they don't care. But he has really nice friends and a family that's really supportive, so it like balances it out. It shows that there's good sides and bad sides. But yes, I did very much enjoy this book. There is a romance in it, which is all well and good because that's what the title says, and I did think it was really cute. I really liked the love interest. It was obvious who it was going to be. You know how it's going to work. It's a YA romance. Yeah, but yes, I really enjoyed it, and maybe you will too. And then last but not least, I read In a Cottage Inn Wood by Cass Green. So I've had this on my TBR for many years. Somebody who doesn't even do booktube anymore, but who I was friends with many years ago, loved this book, so I picked it up from a charity shop and then just, I've had it for ages. And then I read it and unfortunately I was like, I don't see it, to be honest. I gave it 3 stars. I thought the first half of this book was incredibly boring. Nothing happens. You don't even see the cottage or the wood for like 100 pages. It's just this woman who likes to get drunk and is staying at her sister's house because she split up with her boyfriend and just like doesn't seem to give a shit about anyone. The sister's got kids, but she's just like coming in all hours of the morning after one night stands and doesn't care about being loud and doesn't care about leaving mess about, and she's just very unlikable, which is fine. But yeah, later on I started to enjoy the book a bit more when you got in the wood, in the cottage, in the wood. There was a little bits of creepy stuff happening, but I just thought it was kind of boring, to be honest. Very close to the end, like stuff starts actually happening and I was like, that's cool, that's fine, stuff's happening, interesting. But also it's also a little bit too late, too little too late. Where is the thriller? Where's the intrigue? Where is the me wanting to read this? I was reading it and I wasn't like thrilled. It's a thriller, you know. I wasn't like, oh, I need to read the next chapter because it's really thrilling. I was like, meh. So yes, unfortunately not the best. It was fine, it was alright, it's getting on hold. So yeah, that was the last book that I read in July. Let me know down below what you read in July, if you've read any of these books, if any sound interesting, you know the drill. Say it in the comments below, that's what they're there for. Subscribe if you want, like if you want, do that comment that I just mentioned if you want, and I'll be back in a few days with a readathon announcement video, so definitely be back for that. Bye.